the Princess of Sunflower and the Swans. Once upon a time, in the quiet valley of Solaria, sunflowers did not just seek the sun, they held its magical light. Princess Elara and her older brother Leo spent their days in these golden fields. Life was warm and perfectly peaceful, filled with daily laughter and the gentle breeze. But the warmth of Solaria angered Morwenna, a sorceress who lived in the damp, sunless woods nearby. She despised their happiness. One evening, as the sun dipped below the hills, she crept into the valley. With a swing of her wooden staff, she cast a quiet, bitter shadow over the fields. A cold wind suddenly swept through the valley. Before Elara could understand what was happening, the dark smoke wrapped around Leo. His arms turned into elegant white wings, and he was lifted into the sky. Her beloved brother was gone, replaced by a beautiful, silent swan flying away into the twilight. Elara refused to lose her brother. She packed a small bag with bread and wrapped a warm cloak over her shoulders. Holding the glowing white feather close to her chest, she stepped out of the golden valley and into the unknown. The feather pulsed with a soft light, pointing her toward the misty mountains in the distance. After days of walking, the dusty path led Elara to a quiet river town. She was tired, and the glowing feather was growing dim. Sitting on a wooden dock was a boy named Arthur. He noticed the exhausted girl and the strange, magical feather in her hand. Without a word, he offered her a canteen of fresh water. Elara told Arthur about her brother and the dark shadow that took him. Arthur listened patiently. He knew the lands beyond the river were tricky, filled with forgotten magic and wild forests. Wanting to help, he rolled up his map and smiled. He promised to guide her across the water to the silver lake where wild swans gathered. The next morning, the river was covered in a thick, silvery fog. Arthur rowed the small wooden boat steadily, while Elara sat at the front. She watched the glowing white feather in her hands. Suddenly, the feather glowed brighter and tugged forward, as if pulled by an invisible string. It was pointing them toward a hidden cove. They passed through the rocks and discovered the silver lake. The water shimmered like liquid moonlight, surrounded by tall, glowing reeds. Across the water, dozens of beautiful white swans glided silently. Elara stepped off the boat, her heart beating fast. She searched the flock desperately, hoping to see the single golden feather on Leo's head. But Morwenna's dark magic had already infected the lake. As Elara moved closer to the swans, thick, shadowy roots burst from the ground, blocking her path. The dark magic terrified the wild birds, sending them flying into the air. Arthur quickly grabbed a heavy branch, stepping in front of Elara to protect her from the creeping shadows. The dark shadows parted, and Morwenna stepped forward. Her bitter eyes locked onto Elara. She laughed coldly, declaring that the warmth of the Sunflower Valley would never return. But Elara did not run. She stood tall, refusing to let fear win. The white feather in her hand began to glow with an intense, warm, golden light. The feather was not just a piece of magic. It held the deep bond between a sister and her brother. As Elara stepped toward the sorceress, the feather released a wave of bright golden sunlight. The warmth melted the dark, thorny roots instantly. Arthur struck the remaining shadows with his branch, clearing a safe path to the water. With the sorceress gone, the silver lake became calm once more. The wild swans returned from the sky, landing gracefully on the water. Among them was a single, large swan struggling near the shore. It had been tangled in the last of the dark roots. As Elara rushed forward, she gasped. On its head was a single golden feather. Elara knew it was him. Tears filled her eyes as she carefully reached out to the beautiful bird. She placed the glowing white feather gently against the golden one on his head. The magic of the Sunflower Valley recognized its true owner. A brilliant, warm light surrounded the swan, spreading across the calm silver water. The light wrapped around the swan like a warm blanket. Slowly, the white feathers melted away into golden dust, floating up into the morning sky. In the center of the light stood Leo. He was safe, wearing his familiar green tunic. Elara threw her arms around him, finally letting go of all her fear and exhaustion. Leo thanked Arthur for keeping his sister safe through the dark woods. With the curse broken, the Silver Lake was completely free of shadows. The wild swans took flight, dancing in the clear blue sky. It was time to go home. Together, the three friends walked back toward the river, ready to return the sunlight to their valley. The journey back across the river was much lighter. The heavy silver fog had lifted, replaced by a warm and inviting afternoon sun. Arthur rowed the small boat with a gentle rhythm, listening as Leo shared stories of his time flying among the clouds. Elara sat between them, feeling completely at peace. By late afternoon, they finally reached the edge of the Sunflower Valley. But as they looked down, Elara's heart sank. Without Leo's golden energy, the giant sunflowers had wilted, their bright yellow petals drooping sadly toward the dry soil. The once glowing fields looked grey, cold, and entirely lifeless. Leo knew exactly what to do. He stepped into the field, gently taking Elara's hand. He closed his eyes and took a deep breath, letting the warm memories of their happy days fill his heart. Slowly, a familiar golden glow began to radiate from his hands, spreading into Elara's palms and flowing down into the roots. The golden energy rushed through the roots like a warm river. One by one, the giant sunflowers lifted their heads, their petals turning bright yellow once more. The magical glowing dust returned to the air, dancing in the late afternoon sun. Life had finally come back to the valley of Solaria, brighter and warmer than ever before. Elara turned to Arthur, her heart full of gratitude. She knew they could not have saved her brother or their home without his brave and steady help. Leo placed a friendly hand on Arthur's shoulder, officially welcoming him to their Golden Valley. They were no longer just passing travelers, but true friends bound by a magical journey. The dark magic of the woods never returned to Solaria. The valley remained a place of endless warmth, laughter, and light. Elara looked out over the blooming fields, knowing that even in the darkest moments, courage and love could always bring the sun back. And they all lived happily in the glow of the golden sunflowers.